This is HBR News number 530. Tim Pool property attacked, Cinnabon woman drops a bomb, where we discuss the news of the week and give it the Badger treatment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Mike and Hannah, and this is HBR News. I did that intro all wrong. That's okay. So we are here to talk about the news of the week and give it the Badger treatment. And this week we have a great show. We're going to be talking about some follow-up stories involving the January 6th pipe bomb and how that was covered. Tim Pool's property was attacked in a drive-by incident that wasn't in Chicago, for a change. And more, so stick around, it's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron-only show. So the patron show this week, I have this opinion piece from the New York Times called "The Case for Ending a Long, Mostly Good Marriage." So how can you take something that should be seen as a blessing and just throw it out completely? I'm going to make, this person is going to make a good case for doing that. And I'm guessing it's not for men. I'm just going to throw it out there. It's probably not something for husbands, but specifically for wives. So if you guys want to learn more about the case for ending a long, mostly good marriage, then become a patron by going to feedthebadger.com/subscribe and joining our little community. You'll be able to watch all of the additional content. And there's also lots of other things that happen on, all the time. There's stuff going on in the patron Discord. So it's a good time. And I think you'll enjoy yourself. So please consider doing that. If you just want to see what it's like, you can go to the free version of it, which basically has limited access. But there's still a lot going on there at badgernation.online. So it's a great little community. And if you don't want to wake up one morning to find that we've been yeeted from the internet, go to badgerfeed.com or honeybadgerradio.com, which is where all of our content lives. So, with that out of the way, apologies for the late start. We're going to go ahead and get into today's stories. And I got some good one. So we're going to start off. Oh, actually, wait. Before we get into Jake Tapper, there's something I want to show you guys. I'm adding a bonus story. So, Jasmine Crockett has announced her bid to run for the Senate in the taking the Texas seat in the Senate, and she has a little campaign ad that she put together, and I think it's just kind of endemic of, let's say, feminist campaigning. So let me know if you notice what it makes this campaign ad so special, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Let me know if you guys can hear this too.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her?
She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
What the fuck? So that's the ad. It's Jasmine Crockett. For those of you guys who are listening on the podcast later, it's Jasmine Crockett in profile with Trump just, basically commenting on her, calling her low IQ and stuff, and then turning to the camera, defiant against the misogyny and racism that's being hurled at her, stone-faced. We don't know what her policies are. We don't know what she stands for. We don't know what she's going to do, but we do know this. She is a victim of the orange patriarchy. And therefore, yes. You should vote for her. But
that's all you need to know. Mm-hmm. That is all you need to know.
She said with her face, "I'm Jasmine Crockett and I approve this message."
Okay.
This is typical. And it's something that, people on the right have been noticing for a long time, because this is essentially what Obama did when he was running for office. You were not allowed to ask about his policy plans. You were not allowed to ask what he stood for. You were not allowed to ask about his experience. You were not allowed to ask any questions. He was just entitled to be the first black president of the United States. You weren't even allowed to think about the fact that there were other black candidates who had run for president and been torpedoed by the Democrat Party with all kinds of various attacks. And that included black Republicans. So when black Republicans ran for president, ran for the primary, they didn't just have to fight a primary against their opponent who would attack their policies. They also had to fight against the Democrat opponents who would then treat them as race traitors and all kinds of nasty things. But, you know, you weren't allowed to remember any of that either. You weren't allowed to discuss anything to do with criticisms that are normally put out there when a white man runs for president. And the same thing happened then when Hillary Clinton ran for president. If you criticized her policies, it wasn't because you disapproved of the policy. Even if you criticized those policies when they were put out there by some other Democrat or by a Republican, if you didn't like it when Hillary said it, it was because you were a misogynist, right? And if you didn't like it when Obama said it, it was because you were a racist. It had nothing to do with what you valued and what you wanted. This is no different. You're just supposed to presume her the legitimate winner of the race from the beginning, because, you know, if you criticize a woman or a black person, you have been infected with the isms and the phobias, and therefore your opinion is illegitimate, no matter who you are and no matter what your opinion is.
All right, Mike, do you want to say anything about this? Have you seen this ad?
No, I'm just seeing it for the first time. I'm as
I like throwing you a monkey wrench every so often.
I'm as speechless as she was, but I like her this way. She's much more persuasive when she doesn't open that fucking trap of hers. Keep it up, Jasmine.
Yes. I just, you know, I shared this because it's very telling. Essentially, unfortunately, this is normal for women in politics. And I know that, you know, that you probably know some women who are great in politics, but this is more in line with the norm. It is essentially, she is putting herself in the position of the attacked by playing a bunch of Trump, you know, statements over her, where he's basically doubting her ability, and I see no reason why not. She is notorious, by the way, you guys don't know, if you guys remember, she got into like a cat fight with Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Senate floor a while back, and they were, you know, insulting each other's like based on their appearance. I think, you know, Jasmine Crockett was told that her eyelashes are fake, and I was like, this is where we're at right now. You know,
half the women in America have fake
the women
eyelashes.
were just catfighting on the
like,
Senate
why
floor,
did she care?
and nothing is getting done because they're all concerned about how people are, you know, disrespecting them or whatever. And she's trying to, and she is like, currently, this is, you know, whatever you feel about this is irrelevant. She is the sort of like rising star in the DNC, but it's only because of how often she makes headlines. It's got nothing to do with her ability. You know, it's just about, she's always surrounded by controversy, and it's like a reality show character. You know, she's just like the honey boo boo child of the Senate, and it's a mess. It's a mess. So
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens when she goes up against AOC in the primaries. That's gonna be spicy, and I'm here for it.
I will
say,
yeah.
You know, fisticuffs have always been, and probably always will be, an occasional occurrence on Senate floors and congressional floors and houses of lords and wherever in parliamentary politics. That's been a thing throughout history. However, it hasn't been since the days where it was normal for men to wear powdered wigs as part of their fancy dress. I don't think they can hear me. I hear somebody just posted dead silent.
No, what? You guys can't hear it? No. He's talking about something else.
Okay.
The sound is going out. It should be good.
For wig pulling and calling people's eyelashes fake and attacks on physical appearance to be the main way that they fight. Like congressmen and senators occasionally used to knock each other out. I believe, God, I can't think of, where is it that is it New Zealand that the Maori are from?
Doing the haka. It's New
doing
Zealand,
the haka but only in America do we have redneck bitch fights like that. And unfortunately, that's probably going to be a thing forever too.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if they, as Gabriel Phelan Lucas says, everyone in the Senate knows kung fu. I don't know. I don't know if they know kung fu, but they do know the sacred art of who flung poo.
Well, all I will say is, like, I do think that the discourse level has dipped in America significantly. Look at old debates with, like, guys from the 60s like Richard Nixon. You'd think that they were like in Oxford, or at least Oxford of decades ago as well. I don't think Oxford is Oxford anymore either, but it's all become gotchas and, like, stupid rhetoric games. But that's a bit of a divergence. But my point is that Jasmine Crockett is doing what women in politics do. A lot of them, first of all, they're all feminists. Like, there's no left and right when it comes to feminism. Everyone's a feminist for the most part. It just depends on what speed they're going at. And that means that they have to be victims of men. And that's how they make progress. Remember who was the Republican woman that was running, why am I forgetting her name? She was running for president, and there was, like, the debates, and she was saying something about, basically just you playing the woman card when she was at the debate stage. I mean, it doesn't matter where they sit on it. And it's just that some people like Crockett are really, really clumsy and sloppy about it. And so what she's doing is it's going to work. Okay. I know you guys are laughing, but this is going to work on a lot of women. Women are going to see this, and they're going to
work on more men.
It's going to work on, well, we'll work on men too, but the women are going to see this woman taking it on the chin, taking these insults and staring evil in the face, defiant and stoic, and they're gonna think, "Oh my God, that's a girl boss. I'm gonna vote for her." And so, that doesn't mean she's gonna win.
She hasn't.
Nikki Haley. That's what I was thinking about.
Said about her, like from what she did, standing there, it could all be true. Just holding your chin up, and sticking your tits out and walking in like you own the place, might be effective at persuading the unthinking. But the moment anybody actually carefully considers the questions that he's bringing up, she has done nothing to knock that down. And the thing that really bugs me about this, and I think you're talking about maybe Sarah Palin.
No, I was thinking about Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say Sarah Palin, one of the points that she did make that was pretty legitimate is we get this narrative that if a woman is running for office, she's a girl boss and you're supposed to vote for her as long as she's got the right politics for the left-wing media and the left-wing politicians. If she's a feminist, if she claims to be a victim of men and masculinity and so on, if she wants abortion and more social safety nets, more welfare spending and so on, if she wants to cut government, if she wants to end abortion, if she wants women to choose other alternatives, even if she just wants women to choose other alternatives and isn't talking about outlawing it, all of a sudden she stops being a woman to the media. And the idea that it's misogynistic to vote against a woman suddenly disappears. It vanishes in thin air. Sarah Palin didn't get to be a woman when the woman card was in play because her politics were not correct, we're not politically correct. And Nikki Haley tried. She mistakenly tried to play the woman card, but the woman card doesn't belong to women. It belongs to Democrats. And the sooner Republicans figure that out, the better. But in the meantime, I stand by my old statement. I'll repeat it today. The United States is not ready for a female president, and we never will be until we can have a woman run for political office without playing the woman card, without playing the misogyny card, and without even acknowledging misogyny when it's actually being used on her. There's misandry or misandry gets used against male politicians all the time. They get treated like they are less of a man if they don't live up to a stereotype, like they're not qualified if the other guy is ex-military and they're not, even if the other guy is only ex-military because somebody made him do it, right? They get treated like if they're not gynocentric enough, they're not man enough. That's all misandry. None of them complain about it. When women can do that, and the public can do that, and journalists can do that, and anybody who does otherwise will get made fun of for bringing up misogyny, then we'll be ready for a woman president. Maybe.
Yep. Well, anyway, I thought the campaign ad was funny, and I approve of that message as well. I don't think this is the own that you think it is, although it probably will get her some votes, but I don't think it's gonna. She doesn't look like she's doing very well. She might not win her primaries. So, but I guess we'll see. I'm curious to see if the woman worsting is still like how viable it is. So that's the reason why I chose this story. It's not really about the politics. She's in Texas. I don't see that happening. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. Before I move on to the next story, I did get a super chow yesterday, but my social stream chat was a little bit off, so I didn't see it. And it was when I was doing the fireside chat with the former Prime Minister of East Turkestan. Yeah, kind of a weird guest, but interesting. A really good talk if you guys want to check it out. Richard Bier gave us $5 yesterday and said Naomi Wu, who used to the technology pieces and maker content on YouTube, has been out of view for a while, and there are rumors that she did have a Muslim boyfriend. It is speculative whether the government disappeared her or not. Thank you for that. Yes. Yeah, China's not good to the Uyghurs. Uyghurs. I'll say Uyghurs. All right.
Yeah, I think it's Uyghurs.
Yeah, it's Uyghur. Well, he was pronouncing it the correct way. It's a little bit like harsher in the throat area. It's like Uyghur, but I'm not sure if I'm not gonna try and butcher that. So let us know what you guys think about that one in the comments, and we'll see that, and we're gonna move on to the next story. So, all right, Jake Tapper. So we did get a follow-up on the January 6th pipe bombing. Was really the bombs were put down on January 5th. So it was like the day before. And we have arrested, there was an arrest of the long-sought pipe bomber suspect, describing him as Brian Cole Jr. And here is Jake Tapper on CNN covering that report. It's like 30 seconds. And I think it's important, so.
Planting pipe bombs near the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning. Attorney General Pam Bondi gave very few details about the suspect this morning, but said this cold case has been solved.
And the white man in question is pictured here. I'm sorry. No, that's not the guy. This is the guy. That was the other black face of white supremacy. He described him as a 30-year-old white man from the DC suburbs. And this is the guy. So Okay, so he issued so Jake Tapper issued an on-air correction the following day, attributing the error to a script mistake and apologizing. Yeah, right. CNN doesn't make mistakes. But the truth is, okay, the pipe bombs in question were two non-functional devices placed outside the Republican National Committee and Democratic National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. on the evening of January 5th. So this was like the day before, and it was actually, they were non-functional and they were outside of both headquarters of both parties. They went undiscovered until the afternoon of January 6th amid the chaos, prompting evacuations but causing no harm or detonation. The case lingered unsolved for nearly 5 years, spawning conspiracy theories of an inside job or Antifa involvement, particularly among Trump allies like Dan Bongino, now FBI Deputy Director. On December 4th, 2025, the FBI arrested 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr., a black resident, as you can see, of Woodridge, Virginia, charging him with transporting an explosive device across state lines, and attempted malicious destruction by explosives. Evidence included cell phone pings matching surveillance timestamps of the hooded suspect in Nike sneakers, credit card purchases of bomb components, galvanized pipes, timers, and batteries in 2019 and 2020, so like in that time period, and his 2017 Nissan Sentra captured on license plate readers near the sites. Cole reportedly confessed during questioning, expressing anarchist leanings and disappointment over the 2020 election results, believing it's stolen, though no ties to organized groups or clear motive linking the riots, or what happened on January 6th, the worst day in American history. Authorities noted he continued buying bomb parts post January 6th. The breakthrough stemmed from reanalyzing existing evidence under the new Trump administration's FBI leadership, with no new tips involved.
Yeah, bear in mind this is all stuff being told to us by the FBI. I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it again. The FBI does not tell the truth, like ever. Certainly not the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I've no doubt that they were at their most duplicitous under the Obama regime, and everyone knows the Biden regime was just Obama's third term. And that would explain why they didn't even bother investigating this pipe bomber for those entire 4 years. Honestly, it's probably because they did it. It was only ever a psyop to get people outraged or distracted or both. January the 6th was entirely a false flag operation. It couldn't be more obvious. It was obvious from the start to anyone who's not a retard. We've no reason to think the alleged pipe bombs were anything but another element of the false flag operation. But just because Kash Patel is in charge now doesn't mean they're suddenly telling the truth. The FBI, as an institution, is not going to admit that they are a rogue institution that just lies and entraps people and churns up the fog of war at every opportunity. If they admit the truth, it would jeopardize its existence as an agency. And just like any other government agency, its primary function is to keep itself existing. So I'm not all that convinced that this Brian Cole Jr. chap did a goddamn thing. I'm not even convinced he's a real person. They don't even need a real life patsy anymore. They have AI. They can just invent a person out of whole cloth and then wash their hands of the whole affair. Maybe they didn't. Maybe this is the one time they're telling the truth, but I'm not confident. And I don't know why anyone would be. Governments and their agencies have always lied. And now that governments have the technology to lie even harder than ever before, you should be even more skeptical. This boy has done nothing but cry wolf for generations. Once upon a time, they could at least show you a picture of a wolf, and that would be somewhat convincing on the surface. But that no longer means anything. The wolf is probably AI generated. Does that mean we can't believe anyone anymore? Yeah, it kind of does. You should be skeptical of everything that you haven't seen with your own eyes. And even if you have seen it with your own eyes, you could still be under a misapprehension. But in the meantime, we can still laugh at the media and its clowns like Jake Tapper. Some people we can't be sure if they're lying or not, but some people are so obviously pathologically lying that it's comical. They will literally show you black and say it's white. They can't help themselves. They lie for sport at this point. They try to tell the most obvious lie they can think of and see if they can get away with it. And it's tempting just to let them get on with it and see what happens when they finally hit a brick wall. When they can say black is white and get away with it. When they can say the sky is green and get away with it. When they could say 2 + 2 is a banana and get away with it. I mean, they're going to descend into madness right in front of our eyes on live television. And I'm here for it. I want to see what happens. But at the same time, in a sane world, these people should lose their jobs. At some point, the FBI and the CIA need to be gutted from top to bottom and never replaced with anything, because they're probably lying about everything. But before that, we should deal with the people who are definitely lying about everything, like CNN. That's the first thing that needs to be gutted and never replaced. You literally tried to tell us black is white, Jake. You should not have a job. If you say a swear word on the air, you'll get fired overnight and never invited back. Swearing is nothing compared with saying up is down. That shit is mental. You're supposed to be telling us the truth, not the clear and exact opposite of the truth. You should be tarred and feathered and bum rushed into the street where you belong to spend the rest of your life standing on the corner of an alleyway selling pencils from a cup. Until that happens, it's not a serious country. And it hasn't happened, so it's not. It's like we're living in the 7th sequel to 1984. This is way too far-fetched to be reality. And I don't think it is. We're in a simulation. We have to be. I will continue to tell myself that because it's the only thing that keeps me sane. If indeed I am sane, probably not. I'm probably lying too, and I don't even know it. Ignore me, ignore me entirely. Ignore me.
I'm just flabbergasted. I agree with Mangaka 92 or Mangaka 92. I'm just shocked that Steve Urkel would do this.
When questioned, he said,
Yeah.
"Did I do that?"
Yeah. Sorry. I think that was a brilliant comment and needed to be highlighted. But in all actuality, note that when they finally found, the conspiracy theorist who did something intended to be violent as a result of the belief that the election was stolen, and he turned out to be somebody who actually couldn't put things together properly the way he wanted them to go so that they would do the thing he was trying to do. I could do that. What he tried to do, like I have no background in chemistry and since high school, except a couple of classes in college that after I took those, I ended up changing majors, dropping out for several months, and then going to a different university and not taking any further chemistry. So this isn't something that, like you have to be an expert to be able to do this right. And yet he fucked it up, which is good because nobody got hurt. That's great. But at the same time, how absolutely pathetic. The only person they could find, if this is true at all, if, like Mike said, if it's not completely invented, if he's not an AI image that they created in order to make it look like the case was solved, if there was ever anything actually planted, their scapegoat turns out to be a complete dumbass who can't even do that right. I'm just I'm here for it. For 5 years we've been hearing, 5.5 years really, we've been hearing because it was predicted that that there would be riots and all kinds of crap, that the right was going to start a civil war, even though one was already kind of going on. And this is what we get. Steve Urkel wannabe, who cannot do the most basic, like people who are literally intellectually disabled have created better working incendiary devices than this man did. And yet the left would have you believe that we should be panicking over right-wing violence in response to the election that occurred in 2020. Granted, we can look back and see that in response to the 2016 election, left-wing violence burned down whole cities, took over neighborhoods, and used weapons and physical attacks to keep people out, broke into homes, looted businesses, killed people's pets. It basically destroyed large swatches of the country. But, we should be terrified of the right because an incompetent nincompoop planted 2 non-working pipe bombs. Once.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's the balance of things.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely correct. That is the balance of things. And like I said, I just my intention with this was mostly to point out how CNN reports these things, because like whether it's a mistake or not, I don't think it was. I think that if it was a mistake, it was made because of some prejudice or bias. Because remember, these people, leftists, they use things like being on the right interchangeably with things like being white or being male. And so when they hear there was a pipe bomb and they caught the guy, leftists will assume, firstly, that was put there by one of the rioters, even though it was done the night before. So granted, the guy supposedly said in his confession that he was unhappy with the election, but he's also an anarchist. Plus, it looked like he was wanting to tear down the whole system, or at least had that sentiment. Maybe he couldn't follow through on it. Irrelevant. But because he was involved and was somebody who was, essentially there was a lot of discussion around in terms of like the damage that was done on that fateful day, then the media, the people in the media were like, well, this guy has to be a white guy. It has to be. Because that's what they are, right? Like they're like they do this a lot. Actually, there's other instances of them erasing someone's ethnicity, race, and gender if it suits the narrative, which is, the greatest threat to American democracy are straight white men, period, on the right. But like that last part is completely optional anyway. But they're all intended to be used interchangeably. And again, this is important because this kind of reporting, people will they'll hear the soundbite and they won't look into it anymore. Just be like, well, that's what they said, it was a white guy, I'm not surprised. And then they'll go on TikTok and talk about it. The saying goes, a lie is halfway around the world before the truth gets its pants on. And so that's why I'm here, because remember, my city was burned down over a lie. And I see this a lot. I've lost a lot as a result of lies, and I take them very seriously, especially when the media spreads them. So this is the guy in custody. Maybe it's AI generated. I don't know. I'm not willing to go that far. I'm just going to take it at face value for now. If we learn more, I'll go with it. But this is the guy, and he's not a white guy, and he's not even Larry Elder. It's this guy, Urkel. Okay? So, and as far as we know, this is what we have, right? So, and So I just think that that's the most important thing.
Yeah, they lied, and they
Yeah.
always do, and
Yeah, they
always will.
lied like they always do. Exactly. So, okay. Let me see. I think did somebody send a super chat? Yeah. I got a super chat from Richard Bier, who it's not in here. Oh, here it is. He gave us $5 and said, "There are 4 lights." Thank you, Richard, for that.
But are they black lights or white lights?
They're fleshlights. No, they're not.
Should we cross over and go into the light?
Oh, God. All right. Well, anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments, and we're going to move on to the next story. So this has gone viral, and I know it's a little thing, but we covered the Shiloh Hendricks incident as well, and so this is sort of related, okay? So, all right. On December 6th, a TikTok video captured a confrontation at a Cinnabon kiosk in Bay Park Square Mall, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it was in Wisconsin, so it's got like an Indian name, Ashwaubenon or something, near Green Bay, where a white female employee identified in some reports as Crystal Wilsey, unleashed a tirade against a black Somali Muslim couple. And by the way, Wisconsin is getting its share of Somali Muslims, just like I think Michigan and especially Minneapolis. They're all like kind of next to each other, so there's a bit of a spread happening. The altercation reportedly began when the woman asked for more caramel on her cinnamon roll, prompting the employee to mock her hijab as a witchcraft bandana. The employee then escalated, repeatedly using the N-word, declaring, "I am racist, and I'll say it to the whole entire world," flipping them off with both hands, exchanging expletives, and threatening to throw water on them, all while taunting from behind the counter as the couple recorded. The footage exploded online, amassing tens of millions of views across TikTok. I'm not going to play the clip because I'm not sure if you guys know what she said. So she said the gamer word across TikTok, X, and Instagram, sparking widespread outrage over supposed anti-black and anti-Somali racism, especially amid recent comments by Trump about the Somali community in the area. Cinnabon, which operates the location as an independently owned franchise, swiftly fired the employee, stating in a social media post, "We do not condone this behavior. Their actions and statements are completely unacceptable and in no way reflect the values of Cinnabon." The couple launched a GoFundMe for trauma counseling and legal fees, raising over $50,000, while a counter fundraiser on GiveSendGo for the ex-employee, after she was fired, has drawn criticism, supposedly, for promoting a false narrative. As of December 9th, the GiveSendGo fundraiser for the woman, framed by organizers as aid for her being harassed and losing her job, has raised over $18,000 towards a goal that was increased to $271,301. So she's doing just fine. But the reason why I'm bringing this story up is it's an interesting trend that I'm noticing. That so like you have these people that are like, so okay, here's the reality. Most people are tribal. This is like our base nature to be this way. Now, this isn't a good thing. I'm just describing it as it is. And some of the mistakes that people in first world Western countries in particular make is they think that because they try not to be tribal and they behave like, say, civic nationalists, or this belief that we all share, we're trying to like build a culture together, and that like they don't see color and they don't see race and all of that. That's all fine and good, but a lot of people don't play by those rules. Like most people don't play by those rules, and most people do things completely tribally, completely for tribal reasons, okay? Especially people who come here from other countries. And I'm not saying that to disparage, I'm just telling you the truth. In those states that I mentioned, the reason why I brought up Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota is because there are Somali migrants running for office and getting elected purely on the basis of their identity. Just like Obama ran on the premise of being a black guy, and there were black people who voted for him because he was black. Just like Brandon Johnson and the Beetlejuice that came before him, both mayors of Chicago, they won because they're black. They said, "I'm black, vote for me," and the black people voted for the black person because that's what they do. This is the truth. I don't like it. I hate it, to be honest, because it's not the way you do things, but a lot of people are this way. This is just the reality, and you can't really get around that. And unfortunately, it's starting to go the other way. Now you got white people doing the same thing, where they're like, we're just gonna operate in our interests, and we're gonna support our people no matter what, because that's what it's sort of like been reduced to. Okay, I'm acknowledging reality. This is what it is. This is what it is. This is where we are now. This is how it is. Okay, and the thing about this though is that what's interesting is that how this is weaponized the most effectively is through women. So when women are the victims, then it's more amplified. Like you can like, look what happened to our woman. Look at what happened to Irina Zarutska on the train, right? Like, I thought it was terrible. It shouldn't have happened. Like, the guy should have been in jail or a mental asylum or something. I'm not defending that at all. Like the guy who set the girl on fire on the train in Chicago, and like these things are terrible, but because we are getting to the point where people are interested only as seeing the world we live in as a set of tribes that are all fighting each other in fucking Minnesota. Okay, there was a Somali guy running, I think he was for mayor or something, but I'm not sure. He was running for office, and he was basically there because he was trying to get all the Somali immigrants to vote for him. And the only reason why he lost, because he did lose, but the only reason why he lost was because there were different Somalian tribes that were at odds with each other, and there were a bunch of Somalians that didn't vote for him because he wasn't in their specific tribe within the Somalian population, right? So like that's the reality. Like, you don't like it, I don't like it, but that's what it is. And I'm pointing out that this particular woman, I'm not defending what she did, but as I understand it, like the harassment, well, there was harassment before the recording came out. And this is often what happens too. The same thing was the case with Shiloh Hendricks. Apparently the man, they're Muslims, right? So the man was basically saying something about the way this woman was dressed, like she was like showing too much skin or something. And she flipped out on them because, again, it's a woman, and telling a woman, especially like a woman from the first world, how they should be dressed or to smile more or whatever they're gonna fly off the handle over that. And so it just became an altercation because there was a culture clash. But ultimately, she got the boot because she acted out. She shouldn't have done that, and that cost her job. But a bunch of white identitarians, the guy who created her GoFundMe was the same guy who created the GoFundMe for Shiloh Hendricks, which was the woman who cussed out a dude like at a playground or something. And it's the same sort of like elements at play, right? There's a woman, she's a victim, we're gonna use her, and this is what's happening. Like, we're becoming more tribal because we are becoming more gynocentric to a point where it's not even rational, and this is going to create more problems in the future. So this is why I'm bringing this up. I mean, like, it's something that no one's going to talk about. They're going to talk about the race thing, and they don't see that it's women's victimhood or lack thereof, like perceived victimhood, that is the weapon that is used to cause these clashes. Like, even on the other side of this exact same incident, the woman of the two people that she was cussing out is the bigger victim on the other side. So that's how they're doing this. And that's why I'm bringing this up. So anyway, you guys will have your own take on it. That's fine. And I'll just like let you all have the floor so you can say whatever.
Just from the perspective of a person who has worked in retail and food service, I'm gonna insert a little skepticism here, and I have serious doubts that this situation has been as fully presented by either side. In my experience, there's a phenomenon, and this is probably about 90% female, but men do it on occasion as well. But men only have race that they can use, whereas women have, and disability, whereas women have gender as well. And that is gift card seeking or compensation seeking, where the individual will come into an establishment and they'll behave in an aggressive or essentially taunting manner or otherwise bad behavior manner toward people that are there. Like I had a lady come in, and when I worked as a coffee steward at Speedway, and I had a lady come in, look over at me, wait until I was watching, and then deliberately pull a pot of coffee from a brewer that was actively brewing coffee. So coffee was coming out and going into the pot, and she pulled the pot, so there was a huge mess. And then as soon as I went over and cleaned it up, she went to complain to the manager that I had implied that she had done something wrong. And when that didn't get her a gift card, she called corporate and accused me of being aggressive and everything. And it was all because she was female and because this or because that. And none of it had anything to do with what actually happened. Now, at that time, there was nobody filming anything, and there wasn't a camera trained on the actual site of the coffee makers. So nothing could be proved either way. So I didn't get in trouble, but she did get a gift card. I was told that she did get a gift card, and that I was not to interact with that customer again. So when she came in, I had to stop what I was doing and go in the back room and go do some other task. But then if I didn't finish my work because she's out in the front room, I would get in trouble for not getting stuff done. Right. So this is a common practice. You go in, you heckle, you behave aggressively, as long as you're not actually threatening. Right. As long as you don't lay a hand on somebody, as long as you don't do anything you can get into legal trouble for or get kicked out for. And of course, the company gives you $10 to $50. I had a coworker that got fired, and the customer was given $50 because when he rang up a larger than normal amount on a credit card, she checked his ID, and he made something racial out of it, even though she did that with many customers, and there was evidence that was true, and it had absolutely nothing to do with race or sex or any other demographic. So when I see this as presented as a conflict between a white employee and any non-white demographic, or in other news stories where it's been a male employee and some female and demographic, I'm skeptical that this was organic, and I suspect that this couple was compensation seeking. Now, I don't have any other evidence of that. Like, there's not something I've read online about this specific case or anything like that. But yeah, it's a common practice, and I suspect very strongly that this is a story of that particular type of behavior, and we're never going to find out. And it mostly works best when the person seeking compensation like that is female. And I've known companies that have had to deal with women who do this over and over again. And basically, the company never makes any money off of that woman, because every time she comes in, she goes back out, and whatever she spent, she makes complaints until she gets gift cards and other discounts in close to or at the amount that she spent, basically using up all of the difference between what the company spent serving her and what they made from her. And it's really the cheaper the food place, the more frequently this kind of behavior is tolerated. And at a place like Cinnabon, I imagine that they probably see this all the time. Starbucks probably sees it all the time. McDonald's, I know, sees it all the time, because I've seen people doing it when I was a customer.
Waffle House.
Waffle House. Well, what happens at Waffle House is they just throw chairs, and if you can't catch it and toss it aside, you're fucked, right? And then Waffle House fires you for being attacked, and so on. But it's funny. There's a Waffle House down the street from one of the homes that I work at, and the last last time I needed to ask somebody to give me a ride there instead of driving my own vehicle, we go past that Waffle House, and there's six cop cars in the parking lot, lights flashing. Like, it was difficult to drive past the place because the light blinded you to the light on the road. And we never did find out what happened. But yeah, this is, once in a blue moon, somebody makes a legitimate complaint, like McDonald's having their 4,000 degree coffee. That doesn't have to be that hot to be safe, right? But most of the time, it's just somebody who rudes themselves into a reaction that they can use, or complains about perfectly legitimate behavior, and then gets paid. So I have all the sympathy in the world for people who are actual victims of racial incidents or sexist incidents. Mostly that's men. This guy's intimidating me. Really, what did he do? He stood less than 20 feet away from me. That's intimidation, and such. But I don't believe that a trained worker at a fast food place, which Cinnabon is fast dessert, gave anybody a rough time over politely being asked to add more of a condiment to the food. And it's insane to ask anybody to believe that. It'd be like being told that somebody went on a racist rant because somebody asked for extra ketchup on their burger. I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
believe it.
that's
And
what I'm saying.
I think that,
The people who recorded it were the couple, the
right,
Muslim couple. So it starts right in the middle of whatever's going on. So this
right,
is the thing. Like, we don't know what happened before, right? But
right. But I don't believe the story that all they did was ask for some caramel
no.
or whatever it was.
But I mean,
think that's
I
bullshit.
think that stuff is
But I
extra
also,
anyways. So
right. Well, they may have been asking to get it for free because they
yes.
didn't think she put on enough. But even then, like, I worked in food service according to your training. Like, we customer serviced out things that we wouldn't ordinarily just give the customer if somebody was mad, because it's worth it for the company if the customer isn't complaining, right? Somebody comes
Mm-hmm.
along and says, the last half inch of my cup is empty from the cappuccino machine. I didn't get my money's worth. I want this free. And you can see that they're willing to argue it. 9 times out of 10, the manager is going to say, all right, we'll customer service that out for you. And, unless the person habitually comes in and does that over and over again,
Yeah.
or some other thing like that, nobody is, nobody's going to act like this woman acted over something like that. It's just not, I don't believe it. Like I said, having worked in this industry, I'm calling bullshit. This is not as it's been presented by either side. At the other end of it, like, I've had incidents where somebody pushed or shoved me, where I got knocked down in a strong-armed robbery. I've had a woman stand there 2 inches away from me and yell at me. There was a woman that came in that she would literally reach around things in order to get your attention by patting you on the boobs. And like, I'd see her coming and I'd pick up a box just to see how hard I could make her work for it. Like, I didn't get upset about it because there wasn't anything else she was doing. She was just putting her fingertips on my boob. But and I would do the same thing if it was a dude, because I thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But she felt she could get away with it because she was a woman. And if I'd have complained about it, I would have sounded crazy because she was a woman. And my response, generally speaking, and most of us that I worked in that store or that worked in other stores that I've worked with, our response is to weather the situation. Let the person scream and yell, let them stomp their feet, let it, help them as best you can, be respectful back to them no matter how they behave, and then go into the break room and cry or make fun of them when they're not listening, and things like that. And, complain to the manager yourself that, this individual has been coming in and behaving XYZ way towards you. Most of the time, you just, you just deal with it. None of this racist rant, none of that. So this woman had to have been really antagonized in order for her
Mm-hmm.
to behave this way at the risk of her job.
Oh
And
yeah, sure.
similarly, I think these people that did this were seeking money, and they were probably accustomed to getting it
Well, they got it.
because, yeah, they
I
did,
remember she's the
and
one who got fired. They just
right.
got like called names and they made a bunch of money. She did too, but she
Well,
doesn't have a job. So,
I will bet you the company also, they probably complained to the company, and the company probably also gave them money because that does
mhm.
happen. And they've probably done this before, and they've probably gotten gift
What do
cards or
you mean?
discounts or
These
whatever.
Somalians don't scam anybody. What are you talking about, Hannah? That doesn't happen down there.
Yeah.
They have an
But well, like
absolute
I'm saying,
paradise. I don't know why they came to
of
this
course,
shithole country.
and women in particular never do it, even though
Yeah, they never do
that's
that.
an incredibly common way for certain types of women, and there's not a particular color, or a particular other demographic. It's just females in general, but
Yeah.
a certain personality type, uh, dishonest women that they get their Christmas money that way. I got a discount card for this place because I complained, and I got a coupon from this place because I complained, and so on. Like, I have seen that multiple times. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's probably what's going on here too. And until companies develop a backbone where women are concerned, that's not going to change. And people like this are going to be thrown under the bus on the regular because of it. I don't think that this woman was thrown under the bus because she was white. I think that she was thrown under the bus because the couple was dissatisfied. But just saying, and they were female. Now I think this woman made money for being a victim of this type of behavior because she was white and because she was female.
Yeah.
And I don't think very often you see, they don't usually fire black people or Hispanic people when they do something like this. I have seen workers in this position who are not white. I've been present when workers in this position who are not white have threatened to take the customer out back and beat them. Because I'm in Dayton, Ohio, and we are rednecks here, no matter what color we are. And that employee did not get fired.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Mike, do you have any thoughts?
I do. I'm gonna focus on the language aspect of all of this. Identity politics is a fucked out enough subject already, but it broadens out into general semiotics, which is very often my personal bugbear because I'm something of a word nerd. And semiotics is the nuts and bolts of identity politics, after all. And I really don't like it when the beauty of language is misused in various layers, misused to retard us. Language is supposed to be there to accelerate us. Normally, I'm not a proponent of accelerationism because usually accelerationism entails escalation to the point of violence, which is wrong. Whosoever takes it as far as violence should be shunned and ostracized, and frankly deserves whatever violence happens to them in retribution. It's destructive, it's counterproductive, it's low IQ bullshit. But when it comes to words, it's different, because a word is not an act of violence. And I'm not talking about putting a series of words together that amounts to a death threat or a call to violence. I'm talking about syllables that come together to form a single word. Like I said in my last video, and like I've been saying ever since I learned to talk, a word by itself is not offensive unless you choose to be offended by it. A word can be insulting, but only if it's a negative description. Calling someone stupid is insulting. Calling someone ugly is insulting. Calling someone hateful is insulting. That's something for everyone to bear in mind. But referring to someone by their nationality or their ethnicity is not insulting by itself. It's not insulting to call someone an Anglo. I find it rather amusing whenever Scottish people do that, because Scottish people are Anglos. I'm like, yes, I am an Anglo, and so are you, you dopey cunt. Like, calling someone a cheese-eating surrender monkey is only half insulting. The surrender monkey is the insulting part of it. It's used against the French, but by other Europeans who invariably also eat cheese. We all eat cheese. It's like, what the fuck you do? It's like black people calling each other nigger. It's not an insult, and if it is, it's rather retarded one. And it's no more insulting when it comes from anyone else, such as this white lady. You can be like, what does nigger mean? It means black person. Okay, well, yes, I am one of those. What's your point? Well, my point is, it's an offensive word for a black person. Oh, well, in that case, I'm offended. You see what I mean? You don't need to get offended by someone prompting you to be offended. It's like someone saying, you there, I hereby order you to feel hurt. Okay, I hereby feel hurt. It's fucking retarded. It's impossible for anyone to hurt you with a word unless you give them complete and express permission to do so. So maybe don't do that. But I've been saying this for years and nobody listens, and it's because that's not actually quite what's going on most of the time. The truth is, people don't feel hurt by these words. If anything, they love hearing them because it gives them a reason to hurt the person saying them. Like the lady behind the camera at the Cinnabon incident said, you're ruining your life. As in, I'm going to ruin your life. She didn't feel hurt at all. She was delighted to hear that word because now she gets to ruin someone's life. It's like that. It's like in that episode of the Boondocks where the teacher calls Riley a nigger. Riley acts all outraged in public, but behind the scenes, he's ecstatic. He's jumping up and down, he's high-fiving everyone and having the time of his life because it means he's going to get a payload. I know it's fiction, but many a true word is spoken in jest. And that is what happens. That is how it goes down. But as it happens, nowadays, there's been a turnaround on top of a turnaround. It's not just the person who hears the word who gets a payout. It's also the person who says the word. First it was Charlotte Hendricks, now it's this chick. It's a worrying prospect, isn't it? You too can make $100,000 if you go viral, blasting out the bad word. I mean, it's not that people are getting black fatigue, they're getting nagger fatigue. They're sick and tired of being nagged into not saying certain words. And with good reason. It's fucking retarded. No one's actually offended. They're just looking for a payload. And at this stage, people aren't even being offensive. They're looking for a payload. What's the only way out of this retarded mess? Like I said, accelerationism. If everyone just said these words all the time like they're nothing, they will lose all their power. That's the only way to make them lose all their power. They will become normal words that have no special effect on anyone. They'll be no more offensive than the word butterfly. Try it. When you see a butterfly, go, look at that flappy little nigger. It's majestic. Oh, look, the sun has come out. Look at the sun. Look at that hot, shiny nigger. What a beautiful day. It'll sound weird for a while, but eventually we'll get used to it. And once we get used to it, the novelty will wear off. It'll be just like any other word, and it will no longer be an international scandal every time someone says a fucking word. It should never be a scandal of any magnitude when someone says a fucking word, never mind a scandal that makes millionaires of whosoever said it and whosoever heard it. Seriously, you all need to put your big girl panties on and grow the fuck up. Imagine a world where anyone can just say any word and it doesn't fucking matter. What a wonderful world that would be. What a fun, chilled out, mature environment that would make. Fucking a boy can dream. But all a boy can do is dream when he's surrounded by cunts. I said what I said.
We're gonna bring that word back. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like the word, but the thing is, this is why it won't be normalized, because it has a lot of power, and so and it's supposed to have that power. I mean, it's the power to make you tens of thousands of dollars, apparently. So I think that if there is any silver lining, it is that we will get to a point where that word will lose its power because it will be overused, and that's what needs to happen, in my opinion. But one other thing about this that I thought was interesting, two other things actually. First, let's talk a little bit about the power of that word. So there was another incident that I considered bringing up that was related to this story, which involved a high-profile case from Portland, Oregon, where a black man named Gary Edwards, who was a homeless man in Portland, it's basically just a Portland resident, was acquitted on October 31st of second-degree assault charges for stabbing a white man, Gregory Howard Jr., in the shoulder on July 8th near a public beach and light rail stop. Edwards admitted to the stabbing, claiming self-defense, testifying that Howard immediately yelled the N-word upon seeing him, instilling fear of an imminent attack. So, and we don't even know if it was actually said because there was no evidence. So we have a case where a black man stabbed a white man, could have killed him. Maybe he would have. I don't know if like the white guy didn't get out of there. And instead of the black man going to jail for, stabbing someone with a knife, he got off because the dude called me a name. He called me the most powerful insult on earth that lets you be immune to crime. And this is the kind of thing that you see. People will you'll get like a violent incident and then someone will investigate and be like, well, he called me a name, so I had to do something. And it's not like fighting words or anything. And again, we don't even know if this really happened. So we have one incident where involving a man and he gets stabbed for his trouble and the guy who stabs him gets off. And then you have another incident involving a woman who gets loses her job, but she makes like $100,000 and she's probably going to make even more. So this is another sort of expression of that I thought was really interesting. The other thing I was going to bring up is that Harry Sisson got in on this when this broke because he saw racism. So he was like, oh yeah, absolutely, like MAGA, conservative, whatever, because that's what these people think.
Folks, check this out. Another Trump supporter has been caught on camera being racist and a total piece of trash to a Somalian couple in Wisconsin.
So again, somebody was being racist in his opinion, automatically a Trump supporter. But turns out she was a Biden and Harris supporter. This is her lawn. Women's choice is on the ballot. Vote Democrat. So there you go.
Typical.
I know,
Typical.
but again, I wouldn't care. Like I don't have to make these like arguments for what party a person belongs to, but this is the tactic these people use.
It's not the actual party that matters, it's the dishonesty that matters. But there's another thing here. If it had been one of those incidents like where the one chick at the fast food place I was at threatened to take the customer out in the back parking lot and beat her ass, was black, and that had been this incident, he wouldn't have assumed she was a Trump supporter, even female, or if it was a white guy. He still might have.
Well, yeah, Harry Sisson lies. It's his job. He's a propagandist.
Assumed it, but not a black guy. He wouldn't have assumed Trump supporter, right?
Well, there are white guys that look like black guys that are bombing the DNC. So,
yep.
But this mistaken identity sure happens a lot.
The point is, he assumed she was a Trump supporter because she was white. Right?
Yeah,
she got a payout because she was a woman, and she got fired because she was white.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. So anyway, I just thought, like most things, it's not that simple. So I'm just sort of like showing you all, like there's like what people jump to conclusions on, and then there's the truth. There's a theme today. Like a lot of the stories are like, misinformation or like sprinkled in misinformation for the purpose of crafting a larger narrative of like who the enemy is and the mistakes in them getting caught, because we live in the time of social media where we can get information, we can get confirmation, or at least like question what's being presented, and that's a good thing. So anyway, we're gonna move on to the next story, but I just thought I would share that. And if there's like any interesting developments, I'll follow up. But okay, we got to talk about Tim Pool. So
Did we read Richard Beer's?
oh, did we get another
Did I
one?
miss it?
Oh yeah.
About
No,
various
he did.
businesses?
I got it. Let me
Okay.
find it. Okay. Remember when various businesses had their Polaroid pictures of those who wrote hot checks? Perhaps that should be implemented for disagreeable customers.
I would be for that, by the way, especially if they get a gift card from a corporation when they complain.
Mm-hmm.
I would be for if you got a serial complainer. Yeah, that there should be a wall of shame for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Well, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We're gonna move on. So, this one was given to me by Mike J. Thank you, Mike. Podcaster, political commentator, and operator of Timcast IRL, Tim Pool, has revealed on Twitter/X that Saturday, quote, "A vehicle approached our property and opened fire. No one was hurt. Our security team is reviewing the incident and will be relaying the report to appropriate law enforcement. This is the price we pay for speaking out against evil," end quote. This is, sadly, not a new occurrence for Pool, as his property has been swatted over a dozen times, and there has been at least one other instance of gunfire in or around his property due to trespassing. In the hours after the attack, Pool further shared his thoughts on Twitter/X, saying, quote, "My immediate thoughts is someone is trying to scare us, but we have a security gate and armed guards, and it's possible this deterred something more serious," end quote. So before I get into the rest of Mike J's write-up, because he goes into like a broader conversation about leftist violence, because that's what this is. And they accuse Pool, by the way, of being a conservative commentator. I don't know if you guys know, but Tim Pool is far from that. He is the king of the fence sitters, okay? And I'm okay with it. I respect it. I get it. But not at all what they're painting him as. But this is another case of what I've been saying, where they basically what's the saying go? They don't say you're a Nazi because they don't try to kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you. So well, that's all it is. Paint them with the negative brush of right wing, conservative, white, male, whatever, racist, sexist, homophobic, and then just wait until some nut job acts on it. And so what we have to do, in my opinion, is destigmatize these things. Stop giving a shit if someone is conservative. It doesn't mean they're the devil. It just means they have views, and you might agree and you might not, because people are just not that simple. So they labeled him this thing like MAGA, conservative, right wing, blah, blah, blah. And someone tried to do something. And so Tim Pool is here. Some people have claimed that this isn't real. And again, all we can do is take what he has said. I don't see any reason why Tim Pool would lie. I know that he is generally concerned about safety, because I remember covering a story a while back where Andy No, who reports on Antifa in the Portland area, went to do some reporting, and he was attacked by Antifa. And he had like some brain damage or a concussion. He was
very serious injuries.
Yeah, he had serious
Very
injuries.
serious.
And Tim Pool sort of finger wagged and said he shouldn't have done that. And I gave Tim Pool shit for it, because I said that, like, the journalists, what they do is extremely crucial. And Andy knows a grown ass man, and he knew the risks that was involved in going to these places. And I back him up for that. And I think I've been vindicated, because since then, there have been arrests, and Andy No's done the rounds, and he's written books, and he's okay. But the point is that if we don't confront evil, then this shit's just going to keep happening. And that's what I was saying. You can't hide in your compound. But that being said, I'm not saying that Tim Pool was never in danger, because again, like Mike J said, he had been swatted several times. And now Tim Pool has like a wife and a child. So I think that this is putting him in a different state of mind, especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination and the multiple assassination attempts on Trump and other politicians, right? So we're looking at the big picture. There's a lot going on here. And anyway, so Tim Pool is kind of like, he goes on a rant here because, and this is sort of not related, but I thought I'd bring it up. Candace Owens has basically like been like, let's say she's been she put Tim Pool in one of her thumbnails, and it suggested that he's like in cahoots with the people who killed Charlie Kirk in some way, even though she doesn't explicitly say it, but because she uses this kind of clickbaity imagery to get people to watch, Tim Pool was not happy about that, and so I'm going to play a bit of this clip.
Organization that's rallying young people, causing a shift in the political leanings of a generation for the first time in history, is now in dire straits. Their leader and founder murdered, and prominent pieces of human trash are trying to destroy it. It's fucking evil. So you know what? When someone pulls in front of my property and fires on it several times, I'm sitting here looking at these vile pieces of shit and thinking to myself, for what purpose will I stick my neck out if this is what happens after Charlie Kirk is killed? Candace Owens is a fucking evil scumbag. She is a degenerate cunt. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you fucking told me? She has no security. She doesn't fucking deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these fucking conservatives out there that send me these fucking messages have no fucking balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these fucking messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't fucking DM me like I did something for you as you cower, as you fucking cower, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which he's doing to me right fucking now.
Yeah, that was the...
I'm fucking done with these people.
She has security, just not on the level of you.
Oh, yeah, the one fat guy you mentioned with no wall and no barrier in a suburban neighborhood with neighbors. She doesn't give two fucking shits. No one's out for her. She's lying about all of this. You told me you went to her house and she's got a 4-foot wall and one fat guy, and she doesn't give a shit about her security.
All right, I'm pausing it there. So, like, this tells, I mean, he doesn't normally get that upset. So that makes me think that the danger was real and that it's very concerning. So, and just so to like sort of drive it home, because I don't like this both sides shit. Like, there are people that are killing people, and then there are people who disagree with people. It's not the same, guys. But anyway, a recent survey released by the Young Americans Foundation concerning the assassination of Charlie Kirk found that while 70% of those asked believe there is never any justification for murdering someone due to their viewpoints, 70% is not a high number when you think about the moral implications here. 22% claimed that Charlie Kirk brought about his own murder due to his viewpoints to some extent. A separate survey conducted by the Pew Research Center post-Kirk assassination found that 85% of Americans believe that political violence is rising. And this is, it's related because this guy is, he's moderate as fuck to an annoying degree, to be honest, but still a target. It's almost like it doesn't matter how extreme you think people can get because the people we're up against will kill you anyway. They don't care. They only care about how effective you are. And Tim Pool is pretty effective. So I think this is like worth bringing up. So those are my thoughts on that.
Maybe it's a blessing in disguise how apparently ineffective we are. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that we haven't had an ICMI in public since 2019. I'm starting to wonder if it'll ever be safe to have one again. There was a Minds conference in Philadelphia shortly after that ICMI. Tim Pool was there and Sargon and a bunch of other big shots. After that, we all crammed into a small bar and got all sweaty and drank a selection of craft IPAs. It was fun, but I recall there was a roving band of Antifa thugs kind of circling the venue at the time. It was all sort of, what the hell is going on? Do we need to be worried? And I remember thinking, one efficient, coordinated attack, and they could do a hell of a lot of damage. It's not like we were in a convention center in Anaheim, like at VidCon 2 years before that. We were just in a bar, just crammed together like sheep with an accumulated total of several million subscribers. Like one stout bomb, one sudden fire, and just like that, we'd all be dead, and there'd be a huge gap in the rebellion against the oikophobic empire. Would we ever recover from that kind of massacre? Yes, I think we would. It's easy to get the impression that there's only a handful of us out here, because there's only so many voices you can listen to in the small hours of your spare time. But the fact is, there's millions of us. We're hungry to listen, and we're hungry to talk. And as long as people are listening, there will be people talking. They went after Charlie Kirk because he was big. They went after Tim Pool because he's big. But they're never going to come after us here at Honey Badger Radio because we're small. There are thousands of small fry operations just like ours, and they can't kill us all. So, yeah, take heart, my fellow rejects, my fellow unapproachable space lepers. They could take out the biggest person, and then the next biggest person, and the next biggest person after that. But that's just going to leave behind a dispersed resistance. You know why they couldn't bring down Gamergate? Because Gamergate didn't have any leaders. It didn't have a headquarters. It didn't have a nucleus. It was like a sea sponge. You could blow a dozen holes in it. You could put it in a blender and blast it into a fine goo, but it will still reform itself, cell by cell. That's what we need to be. Not a titanic beast with a heart that you can strike with a harpoon, but a swarm of microorganisms. You might go into this thinking, I'll never be as big as Tim Pool, but my friend, that's a good thing. You need a $6 million security detail to be as big as Tim Pool. Fuck it, you don't want that in your life. But you can be one of millions of small voices chipping away at this. Well, we call it the blob for a reason. Our enemy is also a swarm of microorganisms. That's why it's so resilient. We need to be resilient in the same way. So, yeah, make your voices heard, folks, even if nobody's listening. We've been sword fighting against a fart for too long. It's time to become a fart. One that smells worse than the fart we're fighting, or smells better, whatever. Do you ever hear yourself talk and wonder how the hell you got here? Well, not me. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm a fart particle. Hear me roar.
My first foray into the politics of, or the violence of politics, I shouldn't say the politics of violence, but the violence of politics was due to a small town controversy. My mom was on the city council in my community when I was growing up, and there was a controversy over who was going to be the chief of police, and it was small town bullshit mostly. It involved a false allegation. It involved people's opinions about the DEA, drugs, locals, non-locals, and men in general, right? But one of the things that has always stood out to me that occurred during this controversy is that there were people who were angered by the ensuing hearing and the evidence coming out to the degree that they went after the investigators. Right, my mom was the main investigator. She was trying to get to the bottom of what was really going on, who really should be the chief of police in our community. Did somebody do something illegal or unethical or even just questionable? And who did, and what should be done about it? And that was her whole purpose in investigating. And it was quite an interesting experience when people became violent toward her side of the investigation, the what the fuck actually happened and what should we do about it side of the investigation. They didn't attack her, the adult woman who they were pissed off at for investigating the situation. They attacked her teenage son, her underage teenage son, by following him around town while he was driving, and civilians behaving in an intimidating manner, and involved police officers going to his girlfriend's house to meet him there and hand him a ticket for something that he allegedly did at some point during his trip through town where there were no police. And nope, they didn't go after her. They went after him. Why? Because if you go after a woman, she's a victim, right? If you go after a man, he must have done something to deserve it. If you go after a boy, nobody questions you. He must have done something to deserve it, right? So I have some predictions regarding this. You know, Candace Owens, we knew, Gamergate knew, and I tried. I gave her the entire extent of my benefit of the doubt that she might have become a better person after the social autopsy bullshit, and it turns out that she did not. Right. And I haven't been listening to her whole investigation into the Charlie Kirk murder because it's Candace Owens and I don't trust her. Even with the entire benefit of the doubt, like I've so run out of benefit of the doubt that she got extra. She used extra. And I actually gave her hope. And no, she stepped all over that. So I haven't really been paying attention to her investigation because of that. I haven't been paying attention to her presentation of evidence or any of that. I noticed that her titles are always clickbaity too, but you kind of have to do that. Ours are too. Now you kind of have to do that or the YouTube algorithm just buries your shit. But I also noticed that everything that she has promised and everything that she has said, everything she's saying on X, it's all clickbaity. And she keeps promising to drop bombshells. And then after she makes these promises, the only comments I see are about how that wasn't really a bombshell. It was interesting information, and there maybe are things to debate about it, but it's not really a bombshell, right? So clearly, she's doing the female thing of attention seeking and making it more about herself than the investigation or the subject of the investigation. And at the same time, she has zero problems with painting a big fucking bullseye on someone for questioning her because that someone happens to be male. She's been in slap fights with other people. She's had slap fights with other female celebrities. I remember she had a pretty big one with Treehouse News. And at no point did she treat it as a threatening situation where she was proclaiming herself the victim of threats or any other such, bullshit that might paint a bullseye, a target on her opponent. She had a similar fight with one of the Fox News anchors. I can't remember which, but one of the female ones. I know it wasn't Shannon Bream. I can't see her getting herself into anything like that. And anybody on the other side of that would be viewed as the same as somebody who kicked a kitten anyway. But in any case, she doesn't seem to do that when she's in a slap fight with another woman. But she did it when she was in a slap fight with a man, didn't she? Because she can get away with it. Nobody's going to criticize a woman that does that, except for maybe me and a few other honey badgers. And nobody's going to care about him because he's a man, except for me and a few other honey badgers who will care about him because he's a man. and who will care about him, because you shouldn't be doing that to other people in your slap fights. Right? Now, regarding the whole statement about evil and bullshit, it is pretty evil to exploit somebody's death for clicks. And if that's what's going on with Candace, fuck her right then and there. If she's investigating something legitimate, lay your goddamn cards on the table. Make enough people convinced that you get on some news program and stop targeting your critics. Because if all you're going to sit there and do is target your critics, and you're not going to bring the proof, then I'm going to believe, and the layman in general is going to believe, that you are just exploiting somebody's death for clicks, which is despicable. It's more pathetic than evil. Evil, at least, is somewhat motivated and directed, even if it's just motivated and directed for personal gain, right? But this is retarded. This is pathetic. This is beneath any adult. And people shot at his house. A drive-by shooting resulted from this. Fortunately, nobody actually got hit. Fortunately, none of the bullets found a window. But that's not always what happens. It's bullshit that nobody is outraged about this. It's bullshit that individuals who confront lies and evil have to deal with violence against them. Do I have to agree with everything Tim Pool says to say that? I don't think so. I want you to remember the number of men in media who have been through something like what he just went through versus the number of women. I can only think of one woman off the top of my head, and I can't think of her name. Fox News anchor that, and they didn't come to her. She went to them, by the way. She was in the middle of a violent and dangerous environment when she experienced violence that was directed at her because she was behaving in a manner that women are expected to not behave in that area. They didn't come to her house. She went to them. But Tucker Carlson had his house surrounded and threatened to the degree that his wife and children had to hide in an interior room and call police. The men's rights movement has had bomb threats. I think that's correct, Merlin. Laura Logan. She went into a war zone, if I remember right. She wasn't just in, but she was definitely in an environment where she put herself in danger. So it was closer to Andy No than what Poole experienced. But they came to his house. They came to Tucker Carlson's house. That's what men experience. And when they complain about it, then people treat them like they're wimps for complaining about it. It shouldn't be that level of risk for them to have those statements, those opinions, and make those statements. But it is. And it is because they are men. So in terms of what's been going on, in my opinion, this is something that Candace should take accountability for. She won't. She won't apologize. She won't admit that she's contributed to this happening. And nobody will criticize her for failing to admit that and for changing her approach to debate between herself and Poole. And this will probably happen to him again because he will piss people off again. And, it shouldn't. And I would say the same thing if he was the furthest left-wing person on the planet saying all kinds of bullshit about people being infected with isms and phobias. He's not advocating for violence. He's not asking for violence. He just happens to be a male stating his opinions, and he happens to have a large audience, and that's it.
All right. Thank you for that. And now, yeah, I want to know what you guys think about this story. Also, I only brought up Candace because what happened was Tim thinks that one of the things that may have brought this attack is Candace does have a lot of followers. In her thumbnail, she had a picture of Tim Pool, which seems to connect him to, something damning. Of course, she doesn't really present any evidence in the video itself. I didn't watch it, but this is what Tim Pool says. He watched it. But it doesn't matter because there's an implication, and that's the problem. It's a clickbaity thumbnail. But I don't know. Maybe he was just on edge because of what happened, and he's just trying to figure out where it came from. But anyway, Meredith G. Oh, I got a couple of super chows here. Richard Bier gave us 5 and said, since Candace started her true crime series about Charlie's demise, there has been a shortage of red yarn and push pins. Are these two things connected? I don't know, maybe. Thank you. Meredith G gives us $5 and says, HBR News number 530. Sorry I'm late to the party. Got out of work late. I'm not suspicious at all that a few weeks after the blaze runs a story identifying a white woman who worked at Capitol Security as being the pipe bomb, a woman who was filmed firing gas canisters at the crowd, that magically the FBI finds a 30-year-old black man who supposedly has the mental maturity of a 16-year-old to charge for placing the bombs. No, I'm not suspicious at all. All right. That's fair as well. Richard Bier then gives us $5 and says, I heard that Candace operates a tip line where the callers are charged $1,500 per minute to leave a voicemail tip in her various investigations. Thank you for that. I don't know. Is that real or are you just being funny? All right.
There's something Hotep Jesus pointed out on, I think, Tim Pool's show. Who has benefited most from Charlie Kirk's death? It's Candace Owens, isn't it?
I guess. Yeah.
She's run this story like it's the biggest story in history, and she's boosted her profile something chronic. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? And maybe I shouldn't finish that sentence. Well, Tim Pool did yell at me just now for not going after her, but yeah, cui bono is the answer. Who benefits? Seems like it's Candace. Maybe Candace killed Charlie.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
Where was she when it happened? I mean, I'm just saying.
Maybe it was Candace who shot at Tim Pool's house as well. I'm just asking questions.
I'm just asking questions, tough guy. All right. Well, anyway, none of this is medical advice. I am not a doctor. But anyway, okay, we're gonna wrap it up here, though. And thanks, guys, for coming on the stream. Thank you to Mike J for helping me out. Thank you to Hannah and Mike for contributing your thoughts on these stories. And thank you guys most of all, again, for tuning in. All right, we're going to head into the Patreon show now. We're going to look at this opinion piece entitled, The Case for Ending a Long, Mostly Good Marriage. Because why not? Why not shake things up and destroy your marriage and break up your family? Why not? And if you want to find out what wisdom awaits in this New York Times opinion article, then go to feedthebadger.com/subscribe to set up a monthly subscription. $5 a month will get you into the Discord where you'll be able to watch all the additional content and partake in all of the various community activities that are going on. All right. So with all that said, thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of HBR News. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and share the video because sharing is caring. With all that said, I will see you all next Tuesday.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.